Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday afternoon. Hope yours is going well. We've got another Seahawks video to get to today, but first I want to give a shout out to all the subscribers, and special tip of the cap goes to the channel members, especially elite channel members Brendon, Mikel, Hasher for MVP, BGK Tigers 75, Ryguy, Salacious Crumb, Brendan Nelson's Haircut, TVO, It's Hoof, The Reno, 12th Man, Austin Roberts, and Scott Todd. So, a couple days ago, we started taking a look at some of the best right tackle prospects in this draft. Now we're going to finish up with 5 more prospects who I like. These are guys who are probably going to go in the later part of the draft, 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe UDFA. These are the sleepers. These are guys you would get, not necessarily expect to be starting from day one, but guys who might be able to add value to your team at some point. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. We already have a pretty good idea of what we're looking for. So let's go to prospect number 1. It is Robert Hainsey from Notre Dame. And I like this guy a lot, not just for his potential at right tackle, but also his versatility. He's 6'5", 302 pounds, runs a 5.2240, so big enough, quick enough. It's not amazing, but for this part of the draft, it's quite solid, actually. The websites that really like him a lot would be Walter Football. They think he'll go from the 3rd to the 5th. Draft Network says he'll be like a 4th rounder. Pro Football Focus says he'll be a late 4th rounder. Pro Football Network thinks that he'll be a 5th rounder, and ESPN thinks he'll be in about that range too. So this guy's like a late 4th to a high 5th for me. He's right on that line. He might go a little bit higher just because he's polished and ready to go now, but I think he's probably going to be either late 4th or early 5th. So he's flexible enough to be a potential candidate at left tackle, guard, or center, as well as right tackle. So this is a guy who may very well be able to play any of the 5 positions in the NFL. We don't know exactly. He had a lot of versatility at college, and he should have a lot of versatility in the NFL. He played a lot on the offensive line in general at South Bend. He, I think, had more than 3 full years of experience. He's got good length and good range, so he's a good pass protector. He's likely to be best in zone concepts, which is what I'm looking for in an offensive lineman. I think that's what we need. He's an overall solid athlete, not amazing, but good enough, especially for this part of the draft, man. This guy's a pretty solid athlete. He's just a nice all-around prospect. He's smart, technically. He's a good technician at the offensive line. He's somewhat going to be limited physically because he's not that tall, so he's not really going to put on that much more weight. He can't really pack on too many more pounds because he's only 6'5", but I think what he has is good enough. He is somewhat top-heavy for a tackle. That would be my final critique of him. But this is a prospect who I would be all over in the 5th round, maybe even the 4th. But if we trade back to get 5th round picks somehow, and Robert Hainsey is there for us, that's something I would strongly consider. Okay, that was prospect number 1. Probably the best of the 5 here, but I like these next 4 as well, so let's just go to prospect number 2. This is Jalen Moore from Western Michigan. Smaller school. He's 23 years old already, a little older than you would like, but it's not a problem. 6'4", 311 pounds. Pretty decent 40 time for a guy his size, 5.27 40 time. Walter Football likes him anywhere from the 3rd to the 5th. ESPN says the 5th. Pro Football Network says 5th to 6th. The Draft Network says the same. Pro Football Focus thinks he'll be a fringe 7th rounder. I expect this guy to go in the 5th or 6th round, basically. So right in the range of what we're talking about here, 5th to 6th. He's got a lot of experience playing left tackle for WMU, which is nice. I think that his skill set clearly translates better to right tackle at the NFL, but his experience at left could come in handy at some point. You never know. He's well-rounded as a blocker, both in pass protection and run blocking. I think he's a good all-around prospect. He's fluid or aggressive when he needs to be. He knows how to maul somebody when he's doing run blocking, and he knows how to play more fluidly and smoothly when he's in pass protection. He's very athletic for his size. He's likely to fit in a zone scheme, which, again, that's what I'm prioritizing here. He's still, even though he's mobile and agile and has those attributes that you like, he has adequate strength to simply push defenders. So a lot of the times when you're talking about a more finesse offensive lineman, a zone type of lineman, you're talking about somebody who's a little weak. This guy has a little more strength than the average zone scheme offensive lineman, I think. He does need to get better with his balance, which that's going to be important if he's going to play in space. He does need to get better with balance, but that's something I expect to come with time. That's fine. Sometimes his motor fades as the play goes on. Sometimes he'll be playing, and then he'll just stop before the whistle blows. Can't have that. Finally, some people think he'll make a better guard in the NFL than tackle. So that's something to look out for. But I think this guy's a good enough athlete to play right tackle. The only question is to me is his lateral movement going to be quick enough? So Jalen Moore, interesting prospect. His height is not great. This tells you that he might not be able to put on any more weight, which could be a problem in the NFL. But Jalen Moore would be my second late round prospect to take a look at the right tackle position. So that was number 2. Let's go to number 3. Adrian Ely. Ooh, that's a little big. There we go. Adrian Ely from the Oklahoma Sooners. 21 years old, still young. Boom. 6'7". He's tall. Bang. 326 pounds. He's huge already. All right. He's got a 5.3740, not exactly the greatest 40 time, but I like this prospect a lot. It wouldn't shock me if he ended up going in about the 4th round, but as of right now, I get the sense he's a 5th to 6th rounder. A Pro Football Network really likes him and thinks he'll be a 4th rounder. ESPN says 5th. Walter Football says anywhere from the 4th to the 6th. And the Draft Network and Pro Football Focus both say he's not getting drafted. Draft Network thinks he'll be a fringe 7th rounder, actually, but Adrian Ely, very interesting talent. I like him, even though he's not yet going to be an amazing fit for the Shane Waldron offense, I don't think. He has a bit of an irregular frame for a tackle, so he's heavier than he looks. He actually looks kind of lean, but he's got more weight than you would expect because of how tall he is. He's got great limbs, he's got great grip. Once he latches onto a defender, he's tough to get away from. He's hard to get around as a pass blocker because of his length. He can also anchor pretty well, so he can deal with the excuse me. Wow. Sioux. He can also deal with bull rushers. So I think that Adrian Ely looks like he's going to be a good pass protector at some point in his career. He should be a good fit for his own scheme in the NFL. He has a ton of experience playing tackle at Oklahoma. However, in what seems like a bit of a contradiction, despite his experience, he is still very raw and he plays too high. So there is some stuff he has to learn about playing tackle in the NFL. This is a 1 year, maybe 2 year project. He does need to learn how to play in space, which I think will be important if he's going to be a part of this offense. He did have consistency issues in college, and he will have to add some strength and some weight. And I know that sounds kind of weird given the fact that he's already pretty heavy, but he probably needs to add on a little bit, at least, 5 to 10 pounds of muscle weight in order to really cut it in the NFL. So Adrian Ely, good prospect, but if you draft him, you got to be willing to give him some time. Despite his high level of experience at Oklahoma, he has a lot to pick up. He has a lot to learn, and he's definitely a couple year long project, but we can afford to take a project here because we have Brandon Shell, and he's going to be here for at least 1 more year, so projects are fine. Okay, that was prospect number 3. Intriguing talent who could go higher than I'm expecting, but I think he's going to be there in the 5th or 6th. Sign me up. Okay, that was prospect number 3. Let's go to prospect number 4. This is Ole Miss. Who is this? I'm sorry. I'm forgetting this name. Oh, Royce Newman. Royce Newman, 23 years old from Ole Miss. I'm sorry, I've gone through a lot of names lately. This guy's an intriguing talent. 6'5", 306 pounds, so decent height, decent weight. 5.140 time, very nice for a player of his size. 5.140 time for a right tackle, good. As for his draft value, Pro Football Network says 5th rounder, and everyone else says 7th or undrafted. So I feel like he'll probably be a 7th rounder. This guy is a raw prospect. and he has holes in his game. I think he might be a 7th-round pick. He's relatively athletic for his size, as I kind of went over, which affords him some good pass protection. He's a good technician when going against speed rushers, and he should be a great fit for a zone scheme. Those are the main assets to him. I think he'll be good in pass protection. I think he might fit this scheme. The downsides with him, the problem with Royce Newman, is that he's not particularly strong, and he's not really going to be pushing anybody back in the run game. So you do have that concern when he goes to the NFL. He's just not that strong yet. He could add muscle, but as of right now, he's not going to be a great run blocker. Some people think he might move to guard in the NFL. I personally don't think he will, but let's put it out there. Sorry. That was one of my many phones beeping at me. So yeah, Royce Newman, somebody I would look at more in UDFA or the 7th round, I guess, but intriguing prospect, but not as intriguing as our 5th and final guy. 5th and final right tackle we're going to look at today, and the final right tackle overall, prospect number 5. Let's go. We have Drew Himmelman from Illinois State. And this guy's weird. This guy is bizarre. I almost want to take him as like a curiosity more than I think he'll fit in well with the Shane Waldron offense, or I think he'll ever be a good NFL player. 24 years old, already a little old, 6'10". You will not find many right tackles who are 6'10". That's pretty freaky. 315 pounds. So he's not only is he already pretty big, he can add more weight no problem with this frame. Now, his 40 time is pathetic even for a right tackle, 5.6 seconds, but 6'10", I mean, how fast do you really expect to be? Nobody really expects him to get drafted. Ooh, let me switch that around real quick. Yeah, nobody's expecting him to get drafted. A couple places think he's a fringe 7th-round pick. So, yeah, very interesting UDFA prospect here. His fascinating amount of height alone makes him at least a interesting curiosity. He played a lot of tackle in college. He knew how to use his size well at Illinois State. He looks lean, of course he does, because he's tall, but he has the density required for the position. And he's surprisingly mobile for someone so big, which interests me because normally I would look at a guy like this and think, oh, he's going to be too slow and too lumbering and too clumsy to play in space. But supposedly, for a guy of his height, he moves fairly well. Maybe not fast, but effective. So that caught my eye. He's got good technique and pass protection, and he's very smart as a player. He can play too tall sometimes. What do you expect from a dude who's 6'10", allowing defenders to get lower? He's not got great lateral movement, which, hey, I probably wouldn't have great lateral movement too if I was suddenly a foot taller than I am now. Not very explosive due to his occasional struggles to get up to speed, which is not ideal for what we're looking for in the Shane Waldron offense, but again, maybe it's worth it because he's such a unique body type. Definitely someone who will have to develop. I fully expect that he's going to take a year or two to become anything, if he ever becomes anything. So, more of a fascination than an actual sensible prospect, maybe. But I don't know. I kind of like that. 6'10" right tackle. If he can figure it out, you've got yourself something nobody else has. All right, that's the end of the right tackle list. We looked at 9 prospects in total. Let's sum it up again. The top guys were Jalen Mayfield, Jackson Carman, Spencer Brown, and Stone Forsythe. And the sleepers were Robert Hainsey, Jalen Moore, Adrian Ely, Royce Newman, Andrew Himmelman. And right tackle's the final position of somewhat significant need for the Seahawks going into this draft. We're going to spend a little more time on other prospects, other positions, but they're going to be the less important ones, so we're only going to spend a day each on them. These are the ones we have a minor need at that is worth thinking about, but not worth a lot of time. So with the right tackles out of the way, I'm going to get out of here. Let me know what you think in the comments. Who do you like? Who would you want to draft? Who do you not like? Did I miss anybody? Let me know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Call in stream tonight. Be there or be square. And yeah, peace out. Go Hawks.